guys, how are we doing? Thank you for tuning in today. I've had a request to do a video on how to hit the woods off the fairway. Not the easiest skill in the world. Tough to do, and a lot of club golfers struggle with it. So we're going to take you through what will be my 3 keys for getting that ball airborne on a reasonably consistent basis. So first thing we're going to talk about is what actually gets it in the air, so loft and speed. The second thing that we're going to talk about is your grip. And the third thing then that we'll talk about is actually how the club head approaches the ball on either a steep or shallow angle into the ball. So first things first, should you be even hitting the woods? This is big issue. There are 2 things that cause the ball to be propelled into the air. It's either club head speed or it's the loft of the club at impact, what they call dynamic loft. If you don't have the club head speed of a tour pro, then you're going to need some help in the form of loft. So the tour pros, I mean, they absolutely generate incredible club head speed, and simply through brute force they can apply a low lofted club like a 3-wood in around maybe 15 degrees, sometimes even as low as 13 degrees. They can apply that to the back of the ball, and because they have so much club head speed, they can flight it pretty high. The second way of doing it, if you don't have that club head speed, you know, the sort of stuff myself and Rory and people of our standard, I wish, generate. The second thing that you need, or the alternative to that, is you need loft. You need enough loft on the club to kick that ball up in the air, because you're just not generating the speed to do it. So if you're in a situation where, you know, you're driving it 200 yards and 220 in that, you're probably not generating enough club head speed to actually get a 3-wood, let's say 13.5 to 17 degrees, somewhere in that range. You're not generating enough club head speed to actually propel that ball into the air. So you're just going to struggle all the time. Let's move on, accept our limitations, and say, right, let's start at a minimum of 19 degrees. So if we're going to use a fairway wood, let's have the appropriate amount of loft that we can actually get it airborne. Otherwise this whole exercise is pointless. The second thing that I need to look at is grip. Every new student who comes to me, grip is the first thing I look at. If there's an issue there, it's pointless going any further. You've got to have a decent grip. So if you're struggling with the fairway woods and you're thinking, well, I get away with the lofted irons, and sometimes I get away with the driver, it might be inconsistent, but I do okay. But those fairway woods, I just can't get them going. A lot of the time you want to start looking at your grip and seeing where the problems lie. So the couple of things that stand out to me as obvious is, an awful lot of the time I see the club in the palms of the hand. And what happens there is it causes the hands to rotate very quickly, which in turn closes and de-lofts, so the club face points left and becomes almost zero loft on it, and therefore the ball cannot get airborne. So if you're going to try and hit these woods, you have to have a grip that will present the same or similar loft to the ball at impact as you had at address. Otherwise we're struggling. So the first thing I would do is, if you're a YouTube fan, there's plenty. I've done YouTube videos on a good grip. Go and work on your grip first. The next thing then that we need to talk about is actually how steeply or how shallow the club head approaches the ball. And this is one of the areas that club golfers struggle with a lot. So what I see when they come into me, if we start off with our setup position, either they're playing it just inside their left foot, similar to the way they would play their driver. And what happens is the club bottoms out, the swing arc reaches its lowest point before it reaches the ball. and so it's traveling up, and as it comes to the ball, it impacts the ball with the lower leading edge of the club, and there's no loft there, and therefore the ball goes very low along the deck, and that's a big problem. I also see them then trying to play it off the centre of their stance, and what's happened there then is as the club travels down into the ball, it hasn't reached the bottom of the arc, the club face is hugely de-lofted, and as they strike the ball, again, there's no loft there to get it airborne, and it's past the ball that the loft starts to return to the club. Again, makes it almost impossible, or it does make it impossible, to get the ball airborne. So what I recommend to my students and what I work on with them is, first of all, we've done, have you got the right club? Second, we look at how's your grip looking at the moment? Is it actually going to help you in this situation? And then thirdly, we're looking at our setup in order to get a reasonably shallow approach into the ball. So when I look at it with my students, what I'm looking for in terms of ball position is I want it not up at my left foot, but not back at the centre of my stance. I want it kind of halfway in between. So when I get my students to set up, simple thing we do, we have the ball level with the centre of our feet. We take a small step to the left side, and we take a comfortable step to the right hand side. What this is going to do is it's going to take the centre of my chest and place it behind the ball, and I want it to stay there. I don't want it going further right, I don't want it going further left. I want it in this position when I return to the ball, and that's going to give me quite a shallow approach, and it's also going to maintain the loft on the club as I strike it. So I've got a club with enough loft, I've got a good setup position, a good ball position, I've got my centre of my chest just behind the ball, and as I swing, I keep it there, the club comes in quite shallow, sweeps along the ground. I don't mind if it bruises the ground in or around the ball, preferably at or just after the ball, and that then allows me to sweep the ball away as I go through. So the keys here, once I've got the club I need, once I've got the grip I need, the keys here are a good ball position, which in turn gives me a good chest position, and then maintaining that chest position as I go through the shot in order to produce a shallow approach into the ball with enough loft to propel it into the air. So guys, I hope you found this interesting. Indeed, I hope you're finding all the videos that you watch with me interesting. If you are, just click on the subscribe button down here and you'll be notified every time I release a new video. And we will talk to you